Greetings, dear viewers, dear subscribers. Thank you very much for visiting our YouTube channel. Those that have already subscribed to our YouTube channel, thank you so much for your support. We don't take your support for granted. We are so happy that you have been with us here at the BMI Care TV community. For those that are coming here for the first time, this is Dr. Brian Myler, a medical doctor by profession, specialized in psychiatry, and I am actually your host here at the BMI Care TV. On this particular channel, we share various opportunities in terms of scholarships, career opportunities, which you can actually take advantage of. And so if such kind of content resonates well with you or aligns with what you're looking for, we really encourage you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And today we have a special guest on this particular channel who is going to help us learn a little bit much more on scholarship. And this guest is really a good friend of mine that we met at one of the scholarships that we participated in together. But I will not spoil the moment, but I'll ask him to first of all introduce himself and tell you, the viewers, a little more information about himself. Yakob, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brian, for this opportunity. And I'm very glad to be here with you and your subscribers, to talk about this opportunity. I'm Yakob S Ahmed, and I'm from the eastern part of Ethiopia, eastern part of Africa, specifically in Ethiopia. So I'm located in Addis Ababa, where AU is located, by the way. And I professionally, my background, my undergrad is on preventive medicine, and I did 2 dual master specialization, one in public health and one in healthcare administration. It's kind of healthcare business administration. So, and I am doing my PhD on global health, specifically health economics track. I had numerous fellowship opportunities, like a year opportunity at Boston in healthcare improvement, and also 1 year opportunity where I was with Dr. Brian on health policy, public health policy management at Virginia Commonwealth University at Richmond. And professional practice, I've been working in the health sector for almost 14 years now. So that experience is mainly from the level of expert to, from expert level to director general level. So I used to be the second person from the minister for quite like 3-4 years to, and policy, strategy, funding of health program in that country. Now, recently, I joined one nonprofit organization, that's a foundation, and I'm working as country director for Ethiopia. It's been 6 months since I started working for this nonprofit. And these are my professional academic background. And I have some, life values that is really related with this, just to give you a brief one, taking 30 seconds. So I believe in having a clear goals in life. So whether it's in a scholarship or everything, we should have a clear goal in life. And I can say most of the time we may have rejections, failures. So we need to build a mentality like, a resilient and build, a learning mindset that has to be there. That's very important. And also, finally, I can say having a very good relationship with friends, family, colleagues, university professor, our teacher also really helps. So these are the 3 key life views that I have in my professional, academic, and all life. So this is all about me, Brian.
Thank you so much, Yakob. And so, in brief, Yakob, I would like for you to educate the viewers on some of the scholarships you have had an opportunity to scoop throughout your entire career. maybe you can point out 3 or 4 scholarships that you have, accrued, and that sort of like helped you to better your academic prospects and career prospects, the time that you were, beginning your career from undergraduate all the way even up to now. What are some of those key scholarships which you can point out, which you have been able to scoop as an individual?
So I can start with the recent one, the most recent one, and then I go down. I go then down. So my recent scholarship opportunity used to be the Humphrey Fellowship Program. The Humphrey Fellowship Program was on public health policy and management, specifically a 10-month program. It's intensively on, understanding the policy perspective of public health. And it was in Richmond, I think. We have completed this last June. So that's the most recent scholarship, I can say. There are one ongoing, which I will talk later. So this scholarship, so we can talk about the details, but at least I can say one of the most important things from those scholarships have you expand your professional network. So I can say Dr. Brian is part of the scholarship. That's why we are now together in this YouTube and we're talking about. So we create friendship, we create professional connection across Africa and even all over the world. So one of the most important things from the scholarships I can say is having a very strong professional network, connection, and also you grow your professional experience, and you get also an opportunity to share your exposure. This is an opportunity that's created because of this scholarship I have, as I said. So this is the most recent scholarship I have. And I think the second, and the next recent one is I had a scholarship on my PhD. So I am doing my PhD on, as I said, global health, like a public health track and University of South Africa. So that's like a kind of partial scholarship. So it has more than professional connection advantage. So you get a financial support for your education, and you get, upgrading your career. So you get to the top level of your professional career because of this scholarship. And you have also an opportunity to get educated outside of your country. So you learn new culture, new professional connection. Sometimes, so many things, new lifestyle, new life skills. So these are very critical for one professional to grow in the ladder of professional care. So this is, I think, that I can say the most recent. And the other one, which is very important for me, it was like a 9 months to 1 year scholarship program, which happens in the Institute of Healthcare Improvement in USA, Boston. That scholarship really paves my professional career because I have to decide between whether I have to go to clinical practice or healthcare policy and health system strengthening in my and my background as a young professional. But once I get into that scholarship, so I understand the power of having as a person to engaging in health system strengthening, engaging in health policy, strategy development, and health program design, evaluation, monitoring. Those skill I developed them through that scholarship. So that means it really determines my career. So I say, oh, I can fit in here perfectly, so that I have to work very hard to grow in the area of health system strengthening. And I say that I decide that because of that scholarship. And finally, I end up with a director in the Ministry of Health, a director general in the Ministry of Health. And I become a hospital CEO, one of the bigger, a federal hospital CEO in the country because of that scholarship. So I make my professional career, decision. So you can see from my experience, a scholarship connects you with people, it expands your network, it will give you a lot of opportunity to learn in your academic setup, and also it may also determine your future career. What do you want to work? What do you want to specialize in? What do you want recognize be in the global, global professional network. So these are the most important things of which I can mention from my personal journey in terms of those scholarships, Brian.
Thank you so much, Jacob. So my question is, how then did you find these scholarships? And so what tips basically would you share for individuals that are looking for scholarships on where to look for these scholarships?
So I think that's a very important question, I can say. So scholarships. So first of all, we have to decide what we are looking for. That's the most important one I can say. When I say what we are looking for, so there are so many kind of scholarships that we can talk about. So for example, so we have to identify what scholarship we need. So the first thing I did was I identified my need. Is it undergrad scholarship? It is graduate into scholarship. Do I need postgrad or PhD scholarship? Do I need postdoc scholarship? Do I need fellowship scholarship? Or do I need short-term training or short-term conference scholarship? So the first step I did was identify my need. What do I really need in terms of those things? So that's the first step that I did. And the second one, once I determine my need, and then I explore. So the most important thing in a scholarship is you need to identify where I can get scholarship. So where I can get scholarship. So the first step is like very, I can say very basic. So anyone who finds scholarship, who's trying to find scholarship, should do, very simple, should do a simple search, a simpler search of, scholarship websites. Everyone start with that. A simple search of a scholarship website. So see what is in the market, what is in the out there for me. So that's the first step that everyone do. And then after they screen the after I did the screening, I come up with, oh, okay, my need, especially for the first scholarship that I went to US. So I find, oh, what do I need? I say I need to learn a little bit more about health system strength. So where are the organizations that are working on health system strength? So I identify organizations. So you can find a scholarship in their website. That's the tip that I want to mention. So I went to 2-3 organizations I want to get, training, and I go there and I find out a scholarship on their website. I applied for the 2 organizations. I was rejected in one of the first organization, and I got accepted in the second organization. So,
Awesome.
so I have also seen why I'm rejected in the first and why I'm accepted. So the first one, I make a very late application, like maybe 2 or 3 days before closure of the scholarship. So there was not enough time for me to upload everything necessary for the scholarship, and also to send them a very good statement of purpose or motivation letter for my application because of late application. But the second, I learned from that mistake, and then second application, I did early application and I follow all the steps. So I able to develop a very good motivation letter, and I come up with all my official documents that based on their minimum requirement. So I get accepted. So that's this is, you can do a simple search, and then the second one is go to the organizations, the university you want to get educated and see their website. So most of the scholarships are posted there. The third, the recent, like this modern world, a scholarship, there are so many scholarship websites that you can, for example, you can go to SOFAS, you can go to scholarship.com, you can go to opportunities.com. So there are lots and lots of scholarship websites that bring in all available scholarship in the world in this website. But there may be some challenge, like some of them ask some fees, I understand, but that's where you can identify scholarships. And then you can even go to the university website from those scholarship websites. You can get the scholarship and you can go to the university website and you can see, and even you can get some idea how to apply in the university. So the third one is scholarship website. The fourth and the most important one is looking to institutions' website. like like embassy websites. Some like European country gives opportunity for African and other less privileged continent students a scholarship. So you can see their website. American embassy website has a lot of opportunities for a scholarship. You have to see even local government website like education bureau, education ministry, or institute, because there are a joint scholarship program between countries and between organizations. So this is the other best area to explore website. And that's the fourth one is, I think, as a young academician or a graduate, we have to be active on social media. So we have to see sometimes, social media networks will share scholarship opportunities. You can go to LinkedIn and you can find some academic opportunities. You can go to YouTube and you can find some academic opportunities. So these are the place where you can get scholarship opportunities, but that's you going to choose which one is the best fit for my background, based on my background. So this is how I think I recommend. So I found all of my scholarship in this strategy, either in the university website or in the embassy website or in scholarship.com or other scholarship advocating website or otherwise. So that's the way how I found all of my scholarship in the past.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Yakob, for that. There you have it, dear viewers. You have all the information being unpackaged by Yakob, who has had an excellent, career path and has had opportunities to actually, benefit from a number of scholarships. Now, the next question, Yakob, is what are some of the key documents that one needs to have if they are beginning to look for scholarships? Do they just start looking for scholarships without having all the necessary documents that they might need along the way? Are there key documents you would advise our dear viewers, those that are looking for scholarships, to prepare beforehand as they begin to look for scholarships?
Yeah, so there are the documents that needed for scholarship, I can say, are really different for each scholarship categories, but there are specific documents that are needed for specific scholarship opportunities. But at least I can say there are a common document that we need to be ready for any scholarship opportunity, and looking in a global, academic world. The first and the most important, I think, just to give you like a brief of the most important documents, like it starts with your CV, your resume. So you need to have a well-written academic CV. So sometimes you need to find out some templates. You need to, connect with your advisors to get a sample of like a template of a very good academic CV. That's the most important one. So sometimes university may ask you, a first-hand recommendation from your, undergrad or postgrad or graduate professors. So that's another very important document that you need to have on hand. That recommendation, sometimes some university may ask you one, some may ask you two, three, or some of them may ask you even two or more. So you need to have as much a number of a recommendation as possible, a well-written recommendation with your professor. That's another very important aspect. And the third one is not the most important one, I can say, is the most important one, I can say, is the motivation letter. They may call it different. Some call it statement of purpose. Some call it, letter of appreciation, whatsoever call it. But there is one statement we can agree on: motivation letter. That's where you prove that you are the best candidate for this position. That's the only opportunity you can explain to the reader that I am the best person for this scholar. That's the statement. Statement of purpose. That's the most important document I can say for almost all scholarship. And academic transcript, passports, degrees. These are like the common things that you need to have. And also in some university may ask you also proficiency test for English test, like TOEFL, IELTS, or GRE if it's in United States. It's not all, but some may ask those English proficiency tests. So that's also another thing. If you are applying for a PhD or a postgraduate degree, you may also ask to have more documents. Like you may ask to have some publication proofs in peer-reviewed journal. You may be asked for a one concept of your research project if you are applying for PhD. So it all depends on, for example, if someone is applying for undergrad from grade 12 somewhere else, so he may be asked very few things. So he may be asked for only academic excellence. But when you apply for postgraduate degree like PhD, you are there to prove your research skill through previous publications, through bringing up a pager or two-pager research concept, and all those things may be asked. And some scholarship, if they are like prestigious scholarship, they may also ask you your contribution to the community. For example, they may ask you, how many credit or how many hours you volunteer in the past 2-3 years. So you have to have some proof of voluntary certificate in some social service area, which means like giving back to the community. So they may ask like that. And some scholarship also, they may ask you if you have any recognition you get in the past in your academic or in your work experience or anywhere in social service. So, when you are getting prepared for scholarship, it's very good to have match as many documents as possible, which can prove that you are the best candidate for that specific scholarship. So these are some of the documents. For example, I have asked when I applied for healthcare quality improvement advisor, I have asked if you are a very good leader in healthcare, bring your past experience in leadership in healthcare. So I have to come up with like my performance in terms of like coordinating a team. So sometimes I may ask you a practical contribution to the system, to the community, but it is not always. So having all those documents is very critical to apply for any kind of scholarship, I can say.
Yeah, following your experience with applying for a PhD program, I'd like for you to share some information on a writing sample. Did you get asked to submit a writing sample to your program?
Yes. And, so, for example, for me, when I apply for my PhD, so I have asked. I remember I have asked, in addition to all the documents I have listed, I have asked to present 1 2-pager dissertation concept. At least I have told to put at least the objective you are going to answer with your research and the method I'm going to use, at least, and do some brief literature review and having like 3 or 4 paragraphs of background information about my research and why I am really interested to do that research. So in PhD, I have asked to submit a 2-pager dissertation concept note to my university, and my university sent it to a Professor X, and he evaluated and he said that this is a perfect PhD project with some comments. So this is what I have asked. So I can say some of the scholarship may not ask you, and they will bring you to their university and they jointly develop the research project. But most of the university I have seen for PhD asks about what are you going to study, why you are, because this is all about research. So, and also they have also asked me a very, the statement of my purpose for the PhD. So I had an experience to write a statement of purpose for my master's, but for the PhD, it's a little bit really, big, because PhD is all about writing academically. There is no huge classroom things. Everything was on writing. So that you have to express your intrinsic motivation. You have to express, your background, how it fits with the PhD program you are applying. And you have to also clearly state how you are connected with the subject matter, especially having previous publication, it helps, especially attending previous some training program, conferences on that specific area, it helps. So you have to really make sure that convince the reader that you are a perfect fit for that specific PhD program, because they are only taking 5 people. So they may have 500 applicants. So you need to prove them that you are the perfect one to pick. So I think for PhD, you have to focus a little bit more in writing a very good statement of purpose, a very good dissertation concept note, and bring up with some past, peer-reviewed article publications that can support your PhD application. Yeah.
So basically, how you have prepared yourself for a research career, because you are
Yes.
sort of like entering a research career, and you'll be doing a lot of research, a lot of writing, and all that. So anyway, thank you so much, Yakob, for that. Now, I couldn't help it that amongst the documents you have mentioned, you keep talking about the statement of purpose, or the personal statement or motivation letter, which is perhaps the most important 1 to 2 page document for scholarship applications. In this document, one has the opportunity to tell their story, addressing the issues that they would like to address, and they may have not probably talked about those, and maybe they were not well summarized in their curriculum vitae. So highlighting future plans and convincing the panel that they are worthy of the scholarship. While we know that there are different types of statement of purpose writing depending on what school one is applying for. And so some departments may actually give a set of questions that they would like, an individual to answer, the one that is applying for the scholarship, whilst others may not actually give a guide. They may just say, can you give us your statement of intent? Why should we admit you into this particular scholarship program or PhD program, master's program, or undergraduate program with a fully funded scholarship? And so this brings me to the question of, what are some of the key aspects that should be captured if one is writing a statement of intent or a statement of purpose?
So thank you. That's a very important one, Dr. Brand. So that's not also an easy answer, because most of the time this statement of purpose, as you said it clearly, it will be, requested by the organizations or university based on their template sometimes. So, but there is like a general background information that I can give writing statement of purpose. So the first thing I have to say is this: everyone who is listening to our channel should understand that this statement of purpose is where the point you convince the reader or the organization why you are the perfect candidate for this specific scholarship. So this means you have to give due attention for this part of your scholarship application. And here, the second thing that I want to mention is when we are talking about motivation letter, it's where you express your intrinsic motivation toward this specific academic opportunity. It's where you explain self-determination, about this specific opportunity, and you have to show them you are determined to be part of the department or part of the academic journey, and you are also a strong candidate. You are going to complete the academic. That's where you also show that kind. And also there's where you can also show or explain to the reader your career motivation, and also your linkage with life goal, because sometimes people may jump into scholarship even though it's not connected with their career or life goal. So this motivation letter is where you really give back to the reader how it's related with your life goal and your career goal. So I wrote 3 times motivation letter, and I submitted, as I said, once I rejected, twice I have accepted. So I used one model of writing that motivation letter. So the first thing I did was I put an outline for my motivation letter. I put my outline. So my outlines are introduction, because this motivation letter is, we are talking about a 1-pager or maximum 2-pager. So most of the time between 1 and 2-pager, not. So I put my outline. So my outlines are most of the time I put some introduction. I put as the major body of the letter, and I have also a conclusion. So like 2 sentence or 3 sentence conclusion about the things that I put in the body in the introduction. So I most of the time put the skeleton first, and then I write down, I brainstorm whatever I thought about this scholarship and my motivation, my determination, my career linkage, and my academic linkage with specifically with the scholarship. So I jot down everything there and I start to write the motivation letter. So the motivation letter I can say is should have some short introduction, the major body where you link yourself with this specific opportunity, and you make a short conclusion that everyone should make a decision, or this guy or this woman is a perfect fit for our program. So this is how the motivation letter should be written. So when we write those body, we shouldn't forget that this is academic writing. So either it has to come out of ourselves, and we are not expect to take any one word here. We are not expect to copy paste here, because this is a motivation letter. The name, it says your motivation towards this project. So if we are going to copy someone's letter, that will be a reason for complete cut or dismissal from that specific scholarship. So we have to be very cautious about when we write motivation letter. And I recommend, I did in the past, I got support from my supervisor, for example. So sometimes we can write a motivation letter if we're not confident enough that this will fit or this will convince people who read. So we can also send to our mentors. We can send to our colleagues or our professors that we have a very good relationship with, for them to read it and give us like immediate feedbacks. I did it in the past. So these are the way how I come up with motivation letter in the past, Brian. And I can also last I can say motivation letter also should also align with the university need, the organization need. So we need to read the application procedure very well. If they have a format, we have to follow that format. If they don't have a format, so I can say you need to have some introduction, you need to have some body of the document, and you need to have a conclusion. That I can say. If they have a format, we have to follow their format as well. But
well, thank you so much, Yakob. Sorry to cut you there. I just wanted to chip in basically to just get your confirmation. Most scholarships I've come across really want maybe the applicants to address some sort of a problem. Do you think that would be something that one would want to include in their statement of purpose? The problem that they would like to address in their home country or globally, if they are going to be given the opportunity to participate in this particular scholarship? Do you think it's something that should include?
Yeah, so as I have said, it all depends on for which scholarship we are applying. So for example, if this video is if someone like a young guy, grade 12, is listening to this video, so he's applying for undergrad degree program, like pure science application or some. So in that case, it's more of he is expected to show how he is interested, emotionally connected with that subject matter, instead of how he's gonna apply back to home, because he's a young undergrad scholarship. So the university may not really give due attention. But if you are going to apply for PhD is all about like implementation research. You do a research, you apply, and they most of the time they ask you how you are going to make. Is there any possibility to make this research in your own country? Because so you have to show that if I got this opportunity, so my research project will be in my home country, in my organization, or in my community to address 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the most of the PhD scholarship has that requirement. But for undergrad or you are applying for some kind of grant scholarship or fellowship. It all depends on the type of scholarship you apply. But right, you say if you are applying a little bit higher scholarship, like fellowship, what we did for Humphrey Fellowship, or for PhD, that's definitely you have to indicate how you're going to translate it to action in your home country if you get that opportunity.
Yeah. Great. One last thing on this, particular subject, statement of purpose. Yeah, some schools may require an applicant to sort of like look for, faculty members in the department of interest who sort of align with their research interests. Do you think that is something one should actually include in their statement of purpose?
I would say that will make the statement of purpose a little bit bigger, but there are, as I said, there are scholarship. For example, if you are applying a scholarship referred with someone else, for example, you may be referred by me for a scholarship, for example, brand, and you are connected with the professor, and then you can talk to the professor because before application, and you can entertain that with your statement. But most of the time, especially for undergrad and graduate level study, you are not expected to pick any professor for your application. As only for the PhD or for the fellowship, you are expected to pick a mentor or a supervisor or for your study. So a little bit different. So if you are applying for undergrad and graduate level, I can say from my experience, I can say it will not be necessary to add that part of the information in the statement of the purpose. But if you are applying for the PhD, you are also asked to find out whose professor is the right one to work with. So you have to add that as one sentence or one statement, how you're going to work with faculties in that specific institute. So I think this most of the time, it really depends on even the country, the organization. For example, some university, they will not ask you to find out professors. They will assign a professor for you, even if it's PhD. But if you are, trying to go to America for a study, you have to tap professor before you apply for a PhD.
That's true.
So,
I actually noticed the difference between Canada and United States, because I was trying to apply for a PhD, and I reached out to, I think, a university in Canada and a university in the United States of America. So in the United States, I was told you should look for at least 2-3 professors from our faculty members whom sort of align with your research interest, and mention that in your statement of purpose. But when it came to the Canadian university, I was actually told that just submit your transcripts to the coordinator of the program, and then the coordinator will sort of like go and scout for, supervisors who align with my research interest, and then find me a supervisor. So anyway, that's really depends. So that is just something that I wanted us to address for the sake of our viewers. Well, so thank you so much, Yakob. You have actually unraveled a lot of information for our dear viewers. And so to sort of like conclude, I would like to simply say that there are people who may be watching this video and they may have experienced rejection in the past, for some of these scholarships. And so the question here is, how should one handle rejection? And if they are done with handling rejection, how do they place themselves in a better position to be accepted next time when they apply for scholarships? This probably is our last question for this video, dear viewers. Yakob.
So, okay, thank you very much, Brent. This is also a very good one. So, as I said from my experience earlier, I've rejected many times, I can say. I have rejected for my healthcare improvement advisory training program. I have rejected for, I can say, for my PhD. So rejection is part of the scholarship application process. So everyone should understand that. There's only few who get it from the first opportunity. So if they're rejected, they have to really I feel that there's a way to get it second time. So here are some of the tips that I want to say for people who've been rejected for scholarship. So the first one is those rejections, don't take them as a failure. They have to use them an opportunity to improve the next application. So they can study. As I said earlier, when I was rejected in one of organization, I have seen, oh, why I was rejected is not I'm competent for. So I found that I applied late. I found that my statement of purpose is not really a convincing type. I found that some of my documents are not authenticated because of the time shortage. So I learned from that rejection to improve the next application. So the first thing is they have to use those rejections to improve the next application instead of taking to fail. The second one is I can say they have to set a clear goal. So sometimes people want scholarship, but they really are not sure what they really want. They're not sure what they really want from that scholarship. So they have to clearly say, oh, I have my now bachelor degree, I need a master's scholarship. Now I have a master's degree, I need a PhD, or I need a postdoc, or I need this. So they have to be clear. Sometimes people apply for every scholarship. So by the way, with the current globalization, when you apply for many, many things, the website catches all your information. So they will identify or blackmail you. You are applying for every program. So it shows you have no clear goal about your academic career. So you need to set clearly what you want. So what you want in your professional career. So you have to be clear. That's one of the reasons that so many people are rejected. They are not clear with. They apply, for example, I have one friend who asked me like a mentorship for a scholarship. And in the same university, he has applied for 2 different programs, literally 2 completely different programs. So he was rejected. And the university identified him. He is just applying because he sees, like he saw a scholarship announcement. He doesn't have a clear understanding what he needs. So in that case, you'll be rejected. So you need to be clear on your goal. That's the second thing that I want to give. The third one is one of the problems in most of scholarship applicants made is they don't really read about the scholarship, expectations, requirements. So you have to read carefully what is needed from that specific scholarship. So sometimes we miss those things. So we have to give due attention to read each details about that specific scholarship. And if possible, even we have to go beyond that. You have to identify in our circle if anyone who have an opportunity in that school. So we have to learn a little bit background about the university, about the program. So we have a full understanding of the program we are going to apply. That's another thing that I want to give them as a tip to get it. And the third one is, as we discussed earlier in our conversation, try to find people and connect with people in that specific program area or university area. So you may find, teachers or professors or supervisors who are really working on that specific university. So you need to connect with people and have one-on-one conversation about your scholarship before application, so that you have all the background information. And the fifth very important part, we have been talking about that since we started this conversation. Look into your documents, the quality of your CV, the quality of your statement of purpose. Do you have the English proficiency test? Some of the university may have, a minimum cut. For example, if you are applying for Harvard, you need to have 100 and more for IELTS exam. So it's like, some may accept 80, some 85, some maybe 75 in internet-based tests. But so you need to see the quality of your document. And sometimes if you are not sure on the quality of your document, you have to send it to mentors. For example, those who are listening to this channel, you can send it to Dr. Brian. If you have time, he can give you a guidance when if you are in Zambia or in southern part of Africa. So what I want to say is you need to consult your seniors, your mentors in reviewing your document, quality of your document. That's very critical. And finally, so you have to you have to apply, I said earlier. So the other thing is people apply late, deadline. So deadline is one of the problems which I have personally noticed is most of the people get rejected for because they couldn't able to fulfill all the requirements. So see, for example, you start applying. For example, when I applied for my PhD, it takes me 6 months, just application alone. So I have to prove everything. When I have to write my motivation very clearly. I have to get comments from my supervisor who have been in my life for the past academic care. So this is like a long journey. It's not like a one-time shot we are talking about. Well, when you think about scholarship, you have to make time for that scholarship. So you have to take it as your purpose, your goal for the next 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. So you can just, you see one scholarship, you start applying in computer, after 10 minutes, it's done. It's not that kind of thing because you are dealing with something big. So that's one very important tip that I want to give. But lastly, rejection is not a failure. That rejection is an opportunity to improve the next application. That's what I can say for our listener for this channel.
Thank you very much, Yakob. There you have it, dear viewers, dear subscribers. This was Yakob Ahmed from Ethiopia. Very extensive experience academically and professionally. And so it was indeed a pleasure to be learning from such, enormous experience. And so if you would like to follow Yakob, he is available on LinkedIn. You can actually send him, a connection request. And in case you are in Ethiopia and you are watching this video, you will actually do well to connect with him personally and learn much more on these scholarship tips. He's got a lot of experience. And if you did like this particular video, dear viewers, please give this video that thumbs up, like this video so that it can be shared to like-minded people visiting YouTube, and more people can actually learn from the tips that have been shared on this particular video. And if you haven't yet subscribed, dear friends, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and go on by selecting notification bell, clicking on all notifications so that each time when we upload videos of this nature, friends, you will be amongst the first few to be notified. For now, I can simply say thank you very much for watching this particular video and look forward to meeting you in our next video. Otherwise, it's bye-bye for now until we meet